I've been podcasting on Anchor for over a year now, and I love it. It is free to use. You have unlimited space for your library, and they have many more tools that you can use, like adding background music to your episodes. And they also have the ability to monetize your episodes so that you can earn money or donate it to charity. You can do so many things with Anchor, and I believe that they will add more things in the future. You should make your own podcast with Anchor because it is easy to use. Hi, I am Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the NLD Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NVLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NVLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the NVLD project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoy today's episodes. I would like to remind you that the 9th Facebook chat, which used to be on Zoom, but is now on Facebook because of Facebook having no time limit with the messenger rooms. It will be on August 21st, which is the third Saturday of the month, and it will be at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone, and it will go until 11:30 Pacific time zone in the morning. And if you want to be able to attend, please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com, or you can contact me on Facebook on the Living with NLD page, or on my personal page. Jennifer Lynn Purcell is my full name, and I will add you to the group that is related to that after you come to the event. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. To access the testimonials, there are two ways. There's a testimonial page with the full quotes, and then there is a slideshow on the home page with excerpts of the longer ones and the short ones. On the last image of the testimonial quote with Julia's quote, you can click on it and it will take you to the testimonial page where it shows you all of them with the full quoted testimonials. I did it that way because I wanted it to be easier to read on the home page, since some of them were a little longer than a testimonial usually is. And then I wanted to make sure that you could see the whole testimonial on the testimonial page. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com, and I will try to show you how to access it. Thank you. Hope you're having a good weekend. Bye. Hi, so today we are going to be talking about NLD and cleaning and being tidy. So do you struggle with vacuuming, keeping your room clean or keeping your workspace clean or neat? I know I do. I have had challenges with doing this pretty much throughout my life. I've gotten better with it since I was in college, and I graduated from college 3 years ago. When I was in college, I had to keep my room clean because I had roommates or apartment mates, and sometimes they had people over that I didn't always know about being over beforehand, so I wanted to keep the place looking neat for their sake. So that was one reason I had to keep my area looking neat. And the area that we both used, which would be, let's say, the living room or the kitchen, or maybe there was a little sitting area in your apartment or dorm or whatever setup you had in college. What I've done lately around the house that I live with with my parents is vacuuming and dusting and helping them clean things. So recently, since I've been doing that, I should say, I've had many meltdowns with trying to clean those areas, and too many to count, really. The last time I had a meltdown, I decided to make a plan so I could do a better job with cleaning than I used to so that I wouldn't have another meltdown. And it actually worked because I haven't had one since then, at least not with cleaning. So usually when I have a meltdown around cleaning, it's because I'm not doing a good job with it and I'm, not being detailed enough with the cleaning or thorough enough, and I'm leaving dust behind or leaving hair behind and not doing a good enough job. And, I should be able to do a good job because people with NLD have an eye for detail, right? So if that is true, you would think that it would be easy for me to do a good job, or for other people with NLD to do a good job with cleaning. But that's not necessarily true. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And the plan I came up with to do a better job was to try to do more places in the house more often than I used to so that it would be easier on me than it was. Because I do quite more now since COVID happened than I used to. So I have more things that I'm responsible of, and I have less time available than I used to. So I try to do the areas like the kitchen and the bathrooms more often. And I look at them whenever I'm walking around to see if they needed to be done. So if they do need to be done, I do them. If not, then I do them the next week. And that's how I go about it. And I try to look with an eye at detail while I'm doing them and make sure I get everything up off the floor. And if I don't, I do it again until everything's gone. So it might not be something that works for you, but maybe you are hearing something from that plan that you think, oh, that part could work for me. And, I can adjust this part so it works for me. So maybe that will work in some way for you. So here's a quote from an article about 6 surprising ways nonverbal learning disability affects me as a young adult by Michaela Hurst, who has a master's in social working. And she wrote this in 2017 in November. And The quote is, "My bedroom is a mess. Over the years, my bedroom has always been messy. When I was in college, my mother, who is phenomenal with cleaning and organizing, would help me make my room spotless at the beginning of every semester. However, by the end of every term, my room was put simply a mess. Now that I'm older, I know the standards for cleanliness are much higher. So I've learned ways to be neater and cleaner. The best strategy for my NVLD is everything has its proper place. After I use something, I promptly put it back where it belongs." End quote. So the way I can relate to Michaela is that I can see why everything should have a proper place, because if you have a place to put things, then you can find them easily, and it's easier to organize things. And I know the most recent episode I did for the solo was on organizing. So this goes back to that a little bit with trying to organize your clothing and your drawers. And this does go with being clean and tidy as well, because if you're not organized, you're not going to be able to find a sock or an item of clothing very easily. And that might go into other areas of your life, like work, and if you're not organized in one area, you may not be organized in other areas. Like maybe your desk is untidy and you just have things in piles and you can't find a document you're looking for that you printed out recently, and you printed it out recently, but you can't find it. That's why you use folders. And that's why you try to go through things often to throw things out that you don't need anymore. And also, this goes with executive functioning and planning ahead with being tidy and being clean, because if you need to be clean, you kind of have to think ahead. Okay, when am I going to have time to clean, and when am I going to make the time if I don't necessarily have the time already slotted out in a day? Because even if you don't think you have the time, you can definitely make the time in a day to do it. Some things may not take as long as you think they are going to. Sometimes you don't know how long a project is going to take until you get into it. So I'm just speaking from experience. And being tidy is definitely a good practice in life, though, because it does help you be organized in other areas, like I was saying, with work and with personal life as well. If you are organized with your work, I'm sure other things are easier to do in your personal life and in your physical life as well. So I remember when I was in college, I lived in the co-ops, and one of the requirements we had was to do house improvement hours. That's what they called it. And basically that was to help either improve the place we were living in or help outside of that place. So we could help. One of the things I did one time was I went to an assistant living place near Clark Kerr, which is one of the dorms up at Berkeley. And it felt really good because I was helping a woman who couldn't clean because she had a lot of surgeries in her life, and she couldn't move many muscles anymore because of those surgeries. And she was allergic to dust also, so she couldn't clean because of that as well. So we cleaned for her, me and my co-op buddy that was with me. And we dusted some things and we threw away the rags that we were using since she was allergic to dust. She couldn't have it around her. And we did her laundry and made her bed for her and helped her with her dishes and told stories about our lives. And she exchanged some stories about her lives with us. I think we vacuumed the place as well and dusted it. And I remember when we were all done, it probably took maybe 3 hours, about that time. And I remember when we were done, she was so happy that I think she cried, was a little teary-eyed, happy tears though. And she asked if she could, give us a hug because the place looked so clean. And she just was very happy and very appreciative of what we did for her. Just a sec, I need to take a sip of water. That's what happens when you talk. Okay. So, yeah, I was very happy to be able to help that woman have a clean place and not have any dust around her. So here's another article about NLD and house cleaning by someone I've interviewed for this podcast. Her name is Anna. Her interview is not up on the podcast yet, but it will be in the future. There's many interviews that I've recorded and haven't gone up on the podcast yet, but here's a little bit from her blog on the NBLD project, so you can learn more about her and look forward to the interview. So the article is called House Cleaning and Reminiscing Part 1. Anna, quote, has dreamed about making the world a better place for people who think differently her whole life. She has worked as a newspaper reporter and supported employment within community mental health to achieve these goals. When not writing her blog, This NBLD Life, she enjoys going on adventures with her husband and their cat, Mia. Anna is a project social ambassador for the NBLD project, end quote. And the quote from the article is, a few months back, my husband and I took a stay vacation week. We started that week off by cleaning, organizing, and getting rid of things we no longer need. As in this case, whenever I move my belongings around for a cleanup, I resurfaced papers I have saved from my NBLD journey and I revisited them. These documents are important to me throughout my path. The first that I found is my 3-year evaluation when I was in 8th grade. As a child with a diagnosis, I would get retested and evaluated every 3 years to gauge my learning improvements and my qualifications for continued special education services. My 8th grade evaluation is a favorite of mine. Although there was no diagnosis of NBLD in any of my evaluations until I was 28 years old, my 8th grade testing makes it very clear that NBLD is what I had been managing all along, end quote. So I can relate to Anna because I remember cleaning the junk drawer, as I call it, in my room several times. Still have one. After all, it had too much junk in it. I probably need to do that again soon. I like doing it because it helps me see parts of my life that I used to not like and how far I've come since then. So what helps when I'm cleaning things like a junk drawer, and I'm sure almost everybody in their house probably has a junk drawer. No matter what's in there, whether it's files or papers or paper clips or whatever, I'm sure you have memories of cleaning it and just realizing, oh, this is therapeutic, at least it is for me when I clean, and being able to just have a good time cleaning, and kind of relaxes me too, and being able to be like, okay, I'm doing something that is good and is going to help me find something in this drawer the next time more easily, hopefully. After all, that's why you do it. So I also think of how long it used to I also think of how long it used to take me to clean at the Uni Center, which is where I work, when I started to sanitize areas the staff used after COVID-19 started. It probably took me a few hours. Now it only takes an hour depending on how much I'm doing each time. So COVID hygienist is only one of the 4 areas I do. I do COVID hygienist, I do admin assistant, and I do social media support, and I do tech support. We have another tech guy who helps us as well. So back to the cleaning, I usually mop the tile floors, clean bathrooms, vacuum the hallways, sanctuary, stairs, offices, and sanitize anything that someone would have touched with a tougher disinfectant. I do this twice a week, and usually I chop up those things into maybe 3 days a week so that it doesn't feel like so much. I don't do all of it at once, because if I did all of it at once, it might take me 3 hours or more, depending on how dirty each place or area is. So the reason I separate or chop it up is so that it only takes me an hour each time, and I can kind of take a break from the computer and rest my eyes and, do something else. So I also think of ways to organize things digitally as cleaning, because I don't know how many files I have for emails, but I think that's comical because I have many ones in Google Drive for work and personal things also. This helps me know where to put documents that I work on for the podcast, personal, finance, and work-related things. It also helps me find documents more easily when I want to use them in the future if necessary. And like I said earlier, if you have emails or documents organized more easily when you search for them, hopefully you can find them more easily. That's why you organize things. So I would like to hear from my audience on how you struggle with cleaning and being tidy and organizing, since that goes with those categories. Please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com, or comment on YouTube with the answer, or on my blog, which is where these episodes will be found, on Living with NLD. That's the name of the website. Thank you, and I hope you learned something new today. Talk to you next Friday. Bye. Ciao. As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you, my audience. Please know that just because I have a podcast doesn't mean that I'm perfect in every way and don't make mistakes. I make them every day and try to learn from them. I hope that this podcast helps you feel included, not alone, inspired, safe, and encouraged to make your life a little easier for you every day or chance you have the opportunity to. I would like to hear from you, especially if you have topics that you would like to know more about relating to NLD. I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. Also, please email me if you would want to be interviewed on this podcast, or if you need support with something related to NLD. I'm always happy to help in any way I can. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will talk to you next Friday. Bye.